Alrighty, welcome back to Practice Security. My name is Matt Johnston. As always, greatly appreciate you tuning in and paying attention to the content that we produce on Practice Security. I'm going to release this episode under the heading of AI myths because there's one that I see out there all the time, and I just encountered it. I just commented on this on X. It got me a little peppered up, a little fired up, so I may be a little saucy in this episode. I'm going to do something that I don't want to do, that I've tried to avoid for a long time, for different reasons, and that may become apparent throughout this. But I'm not going to forecast it. I'm just going to go through it. I'm going to ad hoc this one. I don't have necessarily a structured set of talking points, but it's something that's really important that I want to address that people seem to don't understand. I see this sentiment a lot on social media in the various debates about artificial intelligence. Should we use it? Should we not use it? Is it harmful for us? Is it okay for us to use? Should we embrace it? The argument is that people will say the only ones who are speaking out against, or who are speaking caution or being critical of our adoption of artificial intelligence and what I call the AI revolution. It's not what I call the AI revolution. What Silicon Valley calls the AI revolution. It's actually a phrase that CEOs in big tech came up with to call this period of time. It's not mine. It's what they have spoken to us and projected onto us, the AI revolution. But the argument is something like the real technologists, the real people who know how AI works and know what it is, aren't criticizing it. They're saying you should go be all in, you should adopt it, it's all good, there's no reasons to be concerned, it's just another tool, and it's just like any other tool, we can use it to our benefit and our gain, and there's really no inherent danger or no reason to be skeptical of the technology of AI and just view it through the lens of a tool. The argument is something like the real technologists, the people who really know, have no concern about this. And I usually don't really respond to those posts, but I have a few times. I have raised my hand or I've posted a GIF, the I'm your Huckleberry GIF. I really like that one a lot. Because I am, I am someone who has used the technology professionally in contexts that are far higher and more specialized than anyone you will ever come in contact with in your life, probably. I'm sorry to say that, but I'm going to be a little bit saucy and I'm going to tout my career a little bit and give you some insights into what I've done. I am that person who has not only worked in the most sophisticated realms of data science and data analytics and big data analytics and the things that led to what we call AI today. Not only have I worked in that for decades in the most nuanced and specific and advanced parts of the tech industry, but I am also probably the loudest critic that you will find about the many ways that you are being offered artificial intelligence as a technology and a tool, and the ways that you're being asked to use it and the ways that you're being presented with it. I'll tell you anecdotally just a quick story. The last company that I was on regular payroll staff for, CrowdStrike, I'm just going to out it, CrowdStrike, was leading a team of engineers who were responsible for researching cloud security threats and risk management. And we were responsible for researching how to use secure cloud assets from abuse and hacking and violation and attack. And then we were responsible for coding those use cases, those scenarios, writing those use cases and scenarios into product code that we would then add to the product ecosystem and release to customers as code. So we were developers, software developers. I managed this team, as a team of engineers and researchers. They were software developers who were also security practitioners who also worked in big data analytics. The tools we use were big data analytics tools, the foundations of what we call AI today, but each of those foundational technologies in their proper and original context, but some of them combined together into what you call AI today, including deep machine learning, including natural language processing and advanced neural networking. Those same core components of what we bundled together into the AI chatbots today, we used in the course of our work, also in the course of software development. And we worked with data science teams. In fact, the data science teams who were all working on trying to figure out the next gen data analytics capabilities. They were trying to build and design the next gen AI pipelines and architectures. They were coming to me and to one or two of the guys on my team for ideas, because we have done advanced analytics and AI related things for so long. The data scientists, the people who bore that title properly, the ones who are actually the machine learning engineers, the ones who were actually facilitating the deep machine learning, they were coming to us for the use cases, for the ideas, for the concepts. They were the architects, literally the guys that had the architect name in their title, data architect, analytic architect, the guy who was designing the next generation data analytics architecture for CrowdStrike, which claims to be an AI first company. It claims that AI is at the core of everything that they do. The guy who was designing the next generation architecture for that, which is not built. These are concepts that we were coming up with in 2024 for a technology that he wanted to build as the next generation of data analytics and AI powered capabilities at CrowdStrike. He was coming to me for the design specifics, the conceptual requirements for what it was we needed to achieve, how data analytics works, how big data processing works, what sorts of analytic queries we would need to perform. Those concepts and requirements, the team was coming to me to ask. So I share this with you to understand. And this is 2024, 2025 timeframe. That's how near this is. When my team was told, when the mandate came down, that we had to transform all that we did day to day into AI, we had to use these new agents. Everyone was being provided access to agentic AI, and we were told, use the new agents to recreate everything that you do in your day-to-day job, so that the machines can do it through automation for you, so that humans are no longer doing everything that we did as engineers. We all laughed. Like, we all knew this was a stupid idea and not feasible, not practical. It's not what the technology was designed for. But initially, we kind of scratched our heads and thought they must be talking about something fundamentally different. If this is the proposal that they have for us, that we can take all that we do and teach agentic AI how to do it, and then it will do it for us automatically and with precision, we thought they must have discovered something new. There must be some new technology that we are not aware of. Now, this is a company that has made Super Bowl ads claiming that they are an AI first company, that AI exists and that they use it through and through. They've staked their reputation on this claim. So when the mandate came down that we were supposed to use this new thing called agentic AI to fully automate all of our work, our initial assumption as engineers, as data analytics engineers, was to scratch our head. As researchers, that's another title that I hear people throw around all the time, data researchers, AI researchers. We scratched our head and we were like, what do you mean? What is this new technology? What is this new technological breakthrough? And we assumed that there was something new. So we went to the team in the data sciences team proper, and we asked them, can you please train us on this new thing called agentic AI? Because we don't seem to understand, because clearly it's something different than what we use today and have always understood as what's been called artificial intelligence. And they told us, these are the smartest data scientists that a technology leader in the cybersecurity space can hire for the specific purpose of helping them build out their AI infrastructure, their advanced AI infrastructure. These data scientists who have been working with us on the design principles for that next generation data analytics pipeline to power all of CrowdStrike's products, they told me and my engineers, you guys already know what it is. You're already using it. You're the ones teaching us. That's when we scratched our heads and thought, what the heck is going on? It was a complete shocker to us that we were that this proposal came to us, that we could use the technology for these ends. We were just like, no, you can't. That's not what it's designed for. This is not what it's capable of. And it was then that I started realizing not only the technological fallacy of this whole entire endeavor, but the philosophical and the religious fallacy. And I started to see the roots of what was going on. And I started to see the deception play out real time. As the CEO of the company was telling investors that he was doing these things with AI, and all of us employees within the company were scratching our heads, looking at each other going, are you doing it? And everyone else was saying, no, it's not me. We realized that there was a lot of deception going on. And I started digging into that. And that's when I uncovered a lot of this criticism that I've been speaking of lately. It really firmed up for me a lot of the criticism. But getting back a little bit to my professional career, Let me just show you something. That's just one anecdotal story. My point there is like the people who actually work in the technology space are not surprised by what's being called AI. What we're being surprised by is the way that people are being told what people are being told AI is, and two, how they're being told it can be and should be used and to what ends. Those are like complete lies. There's just complete lies that people are being told are true. And it's through this ideological bent and through this ideological lens that these lies are being told that is deceiving so many people. But let me tell you why you don't see very many critics coming out of Silicon Valley telling you the CEOs of big tech are lying to your face. Something we call the golden handcuffs. I don't know if you know this, but people who work in big tech are paid ridiculously well. Ridiculously well. In fact, one of my engineers, I'm not going to say who it was, he and I were working on a raise and a promotion for him in recent years. And I was doing crunching some numbers to try to build the case for promotion for him. I wanted to get him to a particular salary range. This is a relatively junior engineer working for a leader in the cybersecurity technology space. I would not a junior engineer, a solid engineer. He kind of exceeded his junior engineering track and was now a solid engineer. So I just crunched the numbers based on where he was in the country. I looked at what are the average salaries in the state that he lived in. I looked at what are the highest salaries period in the state that he worked in. These are average salaries across all jobs. And the promotion that I was offering him was a relatively small incremental increase percentage-wise over his previous salary. But he was within the top 5% income earners for his entire state. Just want to share with you, that's the caliber of salaries that people in tech are paid. It is not uncommon. In fact, it is pretty common for engineers to be millionaires in Silicon Valley. The data engineers, cybersecurity professionals, the people that I worked with, certainly anyone with a director title and above certainly is a millionaire. And I'm talking about a net compensation, annual compensation of $1 million or something close to that. It's not at all uncommon for people in Silicon Valley to have a salary that is $300,000 a year plus other forms of incentives, $250,000 to $300,000 a year plus other incentives. It's not uncommon. This is the caliber of how much money these people make. More than that, it is their livelihood, their meaning, their purpose, their fulfillment in life. They are technologists. They are interested in technology. They want to pursue being at the top of this game, this career, this industry. And so if they come out and speak against the heart and nature of the technology and of the industry publicly, if they come out and say, you're being lied to, you're being deceived, this is not really what's going on, they risk throwing all of that away. Their livelihood, their career, their reputation. And remember also the big tech companies, they're very, very shrewd. They have very strong lawyers and legal teams, and they will go after you if they want to. So it's a combination of salary, of threat of losing your career, and threat of reprisals from tech companies that keeps a lot of people quiet in Silicon Valley and keeps them from speaking out, even when they know what they're being asked to do is morally wrong, ethically wrong, even when they know they're being lied to. Again, going back to the last couple companies I worked for, after the CEOs and executive staff, president of the company would get us all together for all hands meetings and give us business updates or give us company updates, most of us knew the CEOs were just lying to us, but no one's going to come out publicly and say, hey, by the way, the CEO of this company is completely lying to you. Because doing that would not only cost you your career, but it would also cost you opportunity to work anywhere else in that same industry or the sector. And it could potentially bring upon yourself litigation, being sued by one of these companies for leaking protected information, for violating NDAs, whatever the case would be. They've got massive lawyers, tons of resources to come after people. And so generally speaking, that keeps most people in Silicon Valley quiet. But more than that, most people are very happy with the salaries and the compensation that they get. And it's kind of a form of hush money. We call it the golden handcuffs. You are imprisoned by your salary in Silicon Valley for the most part. People are not going to just throw that away. So if you get a bunch of people that come out, start saying this, the other thing is HR teams in Silicon Valley are also very, very shrewd. Working in cybersecurity, I have had to perform investigations of people, employees, and potential employees, candidates for employment, perform what we call human intelligence or human open source intelligence investigations on individuals. We do that by looking at what they've shared through social media. We do that by looking at what they've posted online about themselves, pictures, email addresses, forums that they comment on. We go and look at the internet to see who these people are. What is the nature of their character? What is their conduct? What are they saying? What are they presenting to the world? And we'll use that as part of the evaluation of choosing employment, or we'll also use that as part of decisions for firing people or for coming to them with threats of lawsuits or things like that from HR perspective. This is what HR does in Silicon Valley, and they communicate with each other to other tech companies. And so it's if you want to speak out against big tech, you really have to risk everything, which is largely why I kept silent for so long. In fact, on X, the name that I use is the Prudent Thinker. That's a pseudonym that I came up with during the height of COVID and during the height of DEI and BLM stuff and wokeness, because I wanted people to see what was happening in Silicon Valley and the radical cultural transformation that the executives of tech companies were forcing upon the world through the means of technology. I wanted people to see the culture within Silicon Valley that was producing the technology that was transforming all of life, so that people would see the darkness within the belly of the beast in Silicon Valley. But I knew that if I put my name and my face to that, it would instantly cost me my career. And I have a wife and kids, and I'm not near retirement. And so I need to maintain income for the lifestyle that I live in, providing for my family. And so for a long time, I didn't say anything. I created the Prudent Thinker originally as a podcast, not without any video. And I put it out there just to start speaking to people about the truth of what Silicon Valley culture really is from a Christian point of view, to help people understand and see how wicked and dark and disturbing it is inside, and how twisted some of these tech CEOs really are. C.S. Lewis uses the phrase bent to refer to kind of the most corrupted people in the technology space. When he talks about this Weston character in the Ransom series, he calls them bent. I mean, the Silicon Valley CEOs are, for the most part, all bent. They're all ideologically opposed to the history and tradition of the West. I mean, this is why DEI and wokeness and leftism thrives in Silicon Valley. So I bring all this up just to help you understand that if someone in the tech space is going to go speak out truth in a way that tells the world that the tech sector and CEOs and their boss is lying to them and presenting to them an entire worldview and a transformation, technological transformation, that is predicated on lies, what they're effectively having to do is be ready to throw away their entire career, to be canceled, to be never able to seek employment again, potentially to be sued for disclosing sensitive and protected information in violation of NDAs. And really very few people are going to do that. Not only that, but in Silicon Valley, it is very, very difficult to find people of high caliber character. In my career of over 25 years, I found very, very few Christians. And the Christian coworkers that I did find and would talk about faith with in the office, they mostly wanted to hide their faith. They mostly didn't want anyone knowing that they were Christians, because in Silicon Valley, Christians are hated. I've shared this story, I believe, publicly. If not, here you go. There's an anecdotal story about Silicon Valley. There was a time in the heart of Silicon Valley, in San Jose, at the headquarters of a tech company that I worked for. There was a time when we were gathering around preparing for lunch. I was there on travel, and so a lot of times when I was in the office, the team would go out to lunch or we'd go out to dinner together. We were standing around talking about where we wanted to go for lunch. I'm a very practical person. When I'm working, I want to be in work mode. I don't want to take extensive breaks. I just kind of want to get lunch, come back to the desk, and continue working. Versus Silicon Valley culture is kind of the opposite of that. It's very much like extended long breaks. Take a nap in the afternoon. You go for a long lunch. You put it on the corporate card, and somebody else pays for it. It's just an entirely different culture than I think most people have any access to. So what I suggested was, I had noticed that a Chick-fil-A restaurant had opened up real close to the headquarters, the building headquarters that I was for the company that I worked for. And so I just mentioned, like, I like Chick-fil-A. So I thought, why don't we go to Chick-fil-A? It's right down the street. We can get some food. We can eat there if we want to, or we can just bus back here and keep working and have a meal, while we work. And one of my coworkers launched into this tirade about how much he hates Chick-fil-A because he believes it is like the food supplier for Christians. And he went on this rant about how much he hates Christians and believes that Christians are the root cause of all the evil in the world, all the strife, all the chaos, all the wars. This is in the peak of, there's some lawsuits at the time. I don't remember it. This is 2013 to 15 timeframe. There were some lawsuits or some issues recently about, I don't remember. Chick-fil-A was in the news for some stance that they took against the LGBTQ plus whatever community. I forget now, but this was in that context. So he's on this rant and this rave about how Chick-fil-A is evil and Christians are evil and we're oppressors of everyone else. This is direct in the office, in the headquarters of this tech company, surrounded by a bunch of my fellow coworkers. After I had just said, "Hey, I like Chick-fil-A," this guy is going on this rant about how Chick-fil-A is like the food supply of the most evil people on earth. And then he said this: "I wish I could kill all Christians. I wish I could figure out a way to eliminate them off the face of the earth. And I wish that maybe," he theorized, he's like, "maybe if I poison the food supply at Chick-fil-A, I could kill all Christians and we wouldn't have to deal with this anymore." He was not joking around. He was totally serious. He was in this like rage mode, perhaps not unlike what I'm doing right now with this video, for different reasons. But I was stunned. I remember at the time saying something like, "None of that is true. Like I'm a Christian. Would you ascribe any of those attributes or characteristics to me based on what you've known of me working together for the time that we have so far?" But I remember just being so stunned. I don't exactly remember what happened after that, but I stayed up in my hotel room that night praying and journaling and thinking. I can remember the room, in the corner of the room that I sat in, and staying up till very, very late hours, praying and wrestling over what am I going to do with this. And I decided to go to take the story to HR. And first time I'd ever formally lodged a complaint to HR for any company that I worked for. And this is around, I think it was around 2015 and 2016. Somewhere around there. So 15 years into my career, I had never complained to HR. And here I am for the first time making this complaint against a fellow coworker, thinking that surely he has violated all of those things we're taught about in employee conduct training and diversity and inclusivity training about alienating people because of their backgrounds or singling them out because of their faith. All the discrimination, zero tolerance policies he violated right there. And he did it in a way that was hostile against me personally and against everyone else who has my shared faith. And he did it in a very obvious way that kind of forced me to speak up in front of my coworkers and proclaim my faith in front of them and say, "I'm a Christian. So all these things that you say are true about Christians, now you're saying also apply to me." And I didn't like that. And so anyway, I contacted HR. They did a fake investigation. They checked the boxes. They talked to me. They talked to him. They talked to some coworkers. They scheduled an apology session where this guy who went on this rant apologized to me with HR on the phone. But here's the irony. In his apology, he reiterated all of his points. His apology was, "I didn't mean to attack you personally. I just meant to say all these things as a general rule against Christians, who I really hate." And then he went on this like tirade again with HR on the phone. So he's like trying to say like, "Dude, this wasn't personal. This is just against everyone who's like you, but not you. Just everyone else who's exactly like you, but not you. I'm not making any generalizations against you. Just everyone else who says that they're a Christian." That was the nature of his apology. And he was let off the hook. Sometime later, he got upset about some other things and he ended up quitting the company. But there was no retribution against him. HR told me directly they considered the case closed thanks to his apology. Asked me if I was okay. What do you say? Like, no. Yeah, I just dismissed the issue and let it go. Is what it is. He's a sinner. I can expect no more from a sinner than to be unrepentantly sinful. But I bring this story up to help you understand, like this is Silicon Valley. This is the tech world. And so if you're expecting people of strong moral character and faith to come out from the tech world, come out of Silicon Valley, and to proclaim this, not only their company leadership, their CEO that they report to, but other CEOs as being immoral liars who are repurposing technology in a deceptive manner in order to implement a cultural revolution in the name of artificial intelligence, you're not going to find very many of those people. They're just not going to exist because of all the reasons I mentioned: the golden handcuffs, the discrimination, the potential for lawsuits, the potential of ending your career entirely. These people are just not going to come forward. Now, I've been released from Silicon Valley. I believe that this was a work of God, but it was also just very practical reality. I was part of a wave of AI layoffs. The company that I worked for claimed that my job had been replaced by AI robots, which was totally not true. The staff, I was part of 500 people that were total laid off at the same time. I was actually on vacation. I never actually received an explanation or even a meeting from my boss or HR about the reason for my termination. But I got an email and then a note that said you must sign today, else you don't get any of your benefits or severance for 3 months. I won't get into that story too much here, but there are reasons why I desperately needed to maintain my medical coverage for my family. Desperately so. And so I didn't protest. I accepted. Talked to my former team members who were retained through the course of layoffs. A small number of my team members were. And they said nothing happened, nothing changed. There was no replication of our work with AI agents. Obviously, it didn't work. We had been working and trying that before. Obviously, it didn't work. They just said that they had to now do the work of the entire team with less people. But the CEO was running around telling the world through press releases and investor relations that they had completed this AI transformation and had gained so much efficiency thanks to AI robots that now these 500 jobs are no longer needed. The truth is they've started hiring back for those jobs. My job that was allegedly replaced with AI was actually rehired overseas. Someone over in a different country, I don't want to say which, was actually hired to replace me. And I saw a post on LinkedIn recently that my former boss is also hiring more people in that region of the world to fill up the former team that I used to manage, which supposedly was replaced through AI automation. So you see, my career is in this. I've worked in this space for 25 years. I've used the technology from the very beginning, more advanced use cases than probably most people. My experience and what I've done in the tech industry, you probably will never meet someone in your life who's seen what I've seen and done what I've done. I don't mean to brag. I just mean to bring to you the point that I am that guy. I am not only the one who has that experience and has used the technology for so long, but I'm also one that has nothing to lose thanks to this point in my career and in my journey to be able to be a critic openly of the technology, while a lot of other people simply are not going to be because of the risks to them personally and to their career and to the livelihoods and all that else that I've shared with you. So I want to just bring this to you just to talk mostly about the myth that's out there that the people who really know are all in and all for the technology and believe that you should adopt it and use it in every way possible. And the idea that there are no true users of AI, true technologists who are critics, is just not true. There are plenty of true AI critics who are deep users of the technology. In fact, I'll share with you another anecdotal story. I'll call this one a rumor because I wasn't there, but talking with some people who were retained after my AI layoffs, after the round of AI layoffs that ended my tenure in Silicon Valley, I asked them, got in touch with them after the fact, and asked what the general sentiment was in the company now that the CEO was starting to lay people off in the name of AI. I asked, so how are people responding to that? And one of my former coworkers just shared with me that there is kind of a mini revolution happening within that company against that very notion. He said that in the town hall meeting, when the CEO announced that this was all these layoffs, these 500 layoffs were attributed to AI, he said that several engineers spoke up, confronted the CEO and said, why should we use this technology in the way that you want us to use it if it just means we're going to be replacing ourselves, if it just means we're going to be developing or teaching the machines to take over our jobs? Why would we continue participating? Why would we want to do that? And the CEO, from what I understand, didn't have a good answer to that question. But there is resistance in Silicon Valley. There's a lot of resistance in Silicon Valley to this revolution. You're not going to hear about it. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. The people who are going to come out and speak about it are going to be few and far between. But let me just show you before we wrap this up. Let me just do a little screen capture here. Here we go. Hopefully you can see this. All right, so head over to proactivesecurity.com. Nope, that's not it. That was a presentation I was working on. Head over to practicesecurity.com and sorry, let me just, where is it? Head over to practicesecurity.com and hit the About Me page. And you'll see a brief timeline that describes the companies I've worked for and my experiences over time. Here we go. Here I am. That's me. That's my head. Oh, there you go. On our practicesecurity.com About Me page. And you can see there I've got listed a timeline of the companies I've worked for through the years and descriptions of the roles that I've had over the years. Is you could also find this on my LinkedIn page if you want to. There's a link at the bottom of this page, the About Me page on practicesecurity.com. Go all the way to the bottom. There's a LinkedIn link, and you can see all the companies I've worked for, all the roles that I've held over the years. And you'll know that I'm one of those. I'm one of the ones that have had exclusive experience in this domain, and it is from that experience that I feel comfortable making the challenges and criticisms that I do about not only the technology, but how the technology is being repurposed and misused in ways that are ideologically founded and naturally harmful and will cause people harm. All right, rant over. I appreciate your time. Hopefully, this has been helpful to you in understanding the mythology of AI, but also why you're not seeing a lot of people criticizing the technology publicly who are the heavy users of the technology in Silicon Valley. There's lots of reasons they're not going to come forward ever, and you won't hear from them. That doesn't mean the criticisms are invalid. It doesn't mean that they don't exist. It just means you need to recognize that when someone who does have the experience does come up and speak about it, you might want to pay attention. You might want to listen. All right. Thank you very much. On behalf of Practice Security, I'm Matt Johnston, and I wish you well.